episode 147. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
Dave, we're really close to 150. We gotta think about what to do for 150. I suggest nothing. We just have an episode 150.
I concur. Actually, the thing that's a little bit more scary to me is that we're actually closer to 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think it'd be like 156 would be officially 3 years, roughly.
Yeah. And we stretched that out just a little bit by taking a week off. 1 week in 3 years. So we're getting there. Because I think we started, November, like the first week of November, last week of October? Yeah, so we're getting close. We're getting close.
All right, we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that posts every Thursday at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, except for 2 weeks ago Thursday. But most Thursdays at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find us on almost every podcast service. If you're able to leave us a review on that service, that's extra helpful. If you could, give us a rating in words, that's super, super helpful. Sharing the show is always, great, and the more people that get to listen to us, the better. The more people potentially that could be in our community and joining in and some of the fun that we have. And some of that fun's on Facebook, Discord, Twitter. People making fun of me because I don't update my PlayStation controllers.
Neither do I.
But we do stream the show on Twitch, twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming, where you can subscribe to us if you choose. You can use your Twitch Prime, or you can pay $5, I believe. This is still September, so I think you get 20% off if you've never used a subscription on Twitch before. There's some September promotion going on that they call Subtember. I don't really understand all of it, but that's a way for you to support the show as well. Following on Twitch is free. Following us on YouTube is free. Twitter, Facebook, all those things are free, and you can kind of keep up with what we're doing and what's going on in the community. And we've got a couple news stories to hit this week, but it's a relatively calm week, so we're going to jump right in.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a E3 madness last week, or pre-Tokyo Game Show madness last week. So this week, it's just kind of, bat a little cleanup and have some questionable announcements based on, I don't know, a company having a press conference just 2 weeks ago that this announcement could have been in. But, let's hit it with the first news story. This one, not much of a shock to anybody. PlayStation VR 2 will not be backwards compatible with PlayStation VR. Sony confirmed this in a very nonchalant manner. It was on a PlayStation blog podcast. So basically, the SVP of Platform Experience came out and said that they want to deliver a true next-gen experience with VR 2, and they can't do that by making it backwards compatible with PlayStation VR. Very PR answer. I wouldn't expect anything else, though. I think people probably want more technical reasons why. But that is the big reveal. Dave, I would imagine you're not too surprised by this, but you're probably disappointed a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It seems to be somewhat par for the course for how Sony's been handling hardware things. And again, like I said, where they always kind of feel like they're hiding something that they just don't want to talk about, and then somehow it just gets out on accident like this. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that whoever released this information immediately got a severe talking to.
Yeah, because Sony's very much of no information at all, and then this one was like, hey, here's some information, and then here's a very basic reason why.
I'm of two minds of this. Like, as a consumer, I'm like, I don't want to keep two VR headsets. Mm-hmm. But I also don't really play the first one anymore.
Yeah.
So that's and again, I'm gonna kind of walk the fence on this, and I hope that this means that they, at the other side of it is this means that they have a substantial library coming to offset and be like, you don't want to play those, you want to play these, and I hope that is truly the case. But I also, their track record has not held par to that. As well as I would not want, again, as a consumer, I would not want to have to flip back and forth between hooking one system up and then hooking the other system up. That sounds like a pain in the butt, but it is what it is. I also feel like it opens up the window for the remaster remake versions of anything that was popular on PSVR 1.
Oh yeah, that's a guarantee.
They'll just remake. I'm not picking on anything. The first one that comes to mind is Werewolves Within in 4K, or something.
Beat Saber will definitely make it over. Astrobot has to make it over.
Yeah,
it just makes sense that they would go that route. But
I think it would be good if they did something like that. Is if that was included as part of PS Plus or Extra, of where if it was Beat Saber or if it was Astrobot, that it's just there for you. Another reason for them to use that library and that tiered system to help them.
Kind of like what they did for the PS5, where it's here's the PS Plus collection of 20 games.
Correct.
They do that with the older games. Would be a fantastic thank you for buying this expensive new headset. Sorry, there's no backwards compatibility, but these games have been remastered.
I think having some form of an instant library for a new piece, a new peripheral, is a necessity in this environment, because it's gonna even if they have 15 launch titles, which I don't think they will, 3 of them might appeal to me, and a different 3 might appeal to you. But at the same time, you and I, even as much as we love this hobby of video games, aren't going to spend. I think that this headset's going to cost $400 to $500, right?
Yeah, and then you would imagine the games are going to be in that 30 to 70 range, probably, depending on. Yeah, because they treated VR lower than.
Even if we go $50 average, so now you're talking about let's say a $450 piece of hardware, and
you're not picking up 3 games.
$150, and $600. I can't do that.
Yeah,
I can't do that in January, right off the rip. That's for sure. And then I also would be reluctant, just because they did a decent job supporting VR1, but then it kind of just fizzled out and stopped.
Yeah, and then they released stuff like Moss, and it just kind of, or Moss 2 just kind of came out, and we were like, oh shit, Moss 2 came out a couple months ago? It's yeah, it did. From a technical standpoint, I totally understand why they have to do this, just based on the old VR headset needed a camera, it needed move controllers, it needed to track the DualShock controller, and there is no camera for PS5 VR. There is no light bar on the controller like there was on the DualShock, so there's no easy way for them to apply those games to this without having to do a little work or asking the developers to do additional work. And then from what I remember, the reason PSVR didn't get a lot of ports, or ports would come super late, is because the API, SDK, whatever it's called, the dev unit, it was hard to transfer games to it, or port games over. So they would be asking a lot of work from developers potentially in translating their games, porting them over to VR2. So it makes sense that they're just you know what? We're not even going to have it be an option, because then it's going to look bad on developers on why some can port their games over and the others can't. So from a technical standpoint, I totally understand this move. From a consumer standpoint, damn, that sucks, because the enthusiasts for PSVR are probably buying VR2 right away, and the fact that they won't be able to bring their library over, that sucks.
And those are probably people that would put the headset on within the last 4 to 6 weeks before VR2 came out.
Mm-hmm.
Like the people that like VR, they like VR, and they're consistently doing something in the game in VR. So yeah, this is. But again, I don't like how this came out. I don't like that there hasn't been any conversation around it since it came out that I'm aware of. It kind of just the only thing that I saw was Wario tweeted about it with a timestamp.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really see, at this point in time, Sony should, probably release some kind of statement or put something up on the blog of kind of an official statement from them. This is out now. They need to have something to counter this. But I mean, it just means that Jim Ryan's probably talking to GQ about his fireside chat.
Yeah, this would be the type of thing that if you release this news just casually, you better have an event within a couple days of that news coming out to be hey, this is why we can't be backwards compatible, because look at all this cool shit that we have coming to the platform.
Right.
And they just don't have that event ready for that. Or they just sprinkled the VR stuff just kind of in the state of plays from the last year or so, which I feel could you name the PSVR stuff that was shown 3 state of plays ago? No, because it was so far away from when this thing's supposed to come out that you forgot.
And to be honest with you, when I see it, anything that's in development for VR2, I kind of mentally check out, because I don't know when VR2 is coming, so I don't really care.
That's what I mean.
Let me know when it's coming,
so far
and then
away.
I'll care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, man, that looks really cool. Maybe I can play that in 2 years. Like, no. So this is some bad messaging. Like, it's good that the information got out, but there's better ways to convey that information.
Well, this is also on the heels of another rumor of the. Did you see the stuff about the detachable disk drive?
I saw that. I was close to putting it in, but that I feel like that's one of those things where
it doesn't have enough legs yet.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of those things where people look into patents and they don't understand that, like, patents. Sony makes patents for every crazy idea just in case. So, like, the idea that they're going to have, like, a detachable drive, it's just like, yeah, they probably made a patent for it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. There's a ton of patents and stuff that happen that this never come to fruition. But it's a wild idea of them just having a detachable hard drive. I don't think that would be a great solution.
I also wonder, like, in terms of the patent for this, and I don't want to derail it too much, but I wonder if they're getting information or surveys or data from a consumer like me that bought the digital one at the time, because $400 versus $500 was significant enough for me, and I don't like to update my controller, let alone switch discs. So, like, something like that. But then I do sometimes have, like, a buyer's remorse when I see something on sale physically and I can't get it.
I'm sure they've done the research and have been like, hey, would you buy more games if you had the option to buy them in a physical store? And the answer is probably like, yeah, I would.
So if for some reason somehow they release something that cost, I don't even know, $50 to $75, which I think is too low, that I could just plug into the back of my PlayStation 5 and I could, play disc games on it, I'd be interested.
But here's where they hit you. It's like, oh, this portable drive is only compatible with new digital editions, not the old digital edition. You're just like, fuck, okay. And then you have to buy another digital PS5. But all right, let's talk into the thing I was talking about just a little earlier. Electronic Arts have just announced a Iron Man game that they're making with Motive. Bizarre that they wait 2 weeks after the Marvel video game showcase to be like, hey, we're making a Marvel game, but that's where we're at right now. So this is going to be a single-player, third-person action-adventure game from Motive Studios. EA Motive has made Star Wars Squadron, and they're currently working on Dead Space. So this game is in pre-production, and it is being led by one of the people that worked on Guardians of the Galaxy over at Eidos Montreal. This sounds like something I think we all would want, like single-player Iron Man game, especially coming from EA. You always assume, like, oh, they're going to try and do a live service game or do something weird. Why this wasn't, like, announced 2 weeks ago during the Disney Marvel showcase, who knows? Maybe the ink didn't dry on the contracts, but we have an Iron Man game coming out.
If they can get this on the level of storytelling that they've done with Fallen Order, I know it's not the same studio, but it's the same publisher, I would be... Sign me up.
Give me the Anthem flight with the Respawn storytelling.
Yeah. So I don't have a ton of confidence in EA currently right now in general. I mean, on the heels of Battlefield and some of the other stuff some of the other issues that they've been having and development they've been having, and canceled studios and closed studios and yada 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 yada. And, like, Squadrons wasn't terrible, and it looks like Dead Space is promising, but it's also not out yet.
And it's also a remake, so it's like...
Right. It does give me some confidence that the guy that's the Oliver working on it previously from Eidos, and doing Guardians of the Galaxy, which is, portrayed as a very good Marvel game, gives me, some, a little bit more faith. But at the same time, like I've been saying, don't tell me about something until you can tell me it's coming in 6 months or 9 months or something like that. Just like I'm getting irritated with, hey, it's a thing.
Come work for us and make it. It's been the way things have been going. Especially if they're in pre-production now. They're working on Dead Space, which is coming out January, I think.
Sounds right.
January, February. So we're probably like 2-3 years away from seeing this game and potentially playing it.
And then also, what does the Iron Man world look like? I mean, at that point in time, like, when you start getting that many years out, like, which character is it? Is it the comic book character? Is it the Robert Downey Jr. character? Is it the young Avenger that's supposed to be another Iron Man? Like, like, there's so much going on right now, until, like, we've already seen the perception of Iron Man in Avengers, the video game Avengers from Square Enix, of, like, that's not him, because the rapid increase of the MCU movie, like, Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. Like, that's just who he is now. And anything that kind of differs from that needs to be a really good, sharp, dramatic deferment to where it's not trying to be Robert Downey Jr. and it's trying to be your own thing. And I think that's how some of the Star Wars stuff has been able to succeed a little bit better, is it's its own independent branch versus trying to tie it to everything, trying to tie it to any kind of nostalgia. And hopefully Motive can accomplish that with this.
Yeah. I think grabbing the person from the Guardians of the Galaxy studio was probably a good move, because Guardians is able to strike that balance of, like, okay, you're copying James Gunn's Guardians a lot, but you're putting enough of your own twist on that style and those characters that it works and it feels like its own independent thing. So hopefully that person's able to influence things enough to where it's not like, oh, they just copied Robert Downey Jr. or, oh God, they're too far away from Robert Downey Jr. for this to be.
Well, we all had that reaction when we, I think you and I were in the same theater when we saw Marvel's Avengers from Square Enix, and we're just like, immediately, like we were. I hate to say it this way because it's disrespectful to the developer, but we were like, ew.
Well, yeah,
that's not them.
All the, like, Captain America, I ended up eventually coming around to. But, like, all their character models were like, oh, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's going to be something that they're going to have to struggle with, to where we'll have to see, like, are they just going to go full opposite direction, as opposed to what I think of Marvel's Avengers, the Square Enix game. It had the problem where it didn't go too far away. It was just it looked like those characters if you were squinting. Or if you drew them from memory, and I think that was a problem, because it didn't differentiate itself enough from the MCU. So hopefully that's something that they can do. My question is, though, Dave, a couple weeks ago there was reports that EA is working on a Black Panther game that was in pitching pre-production stage. This game sounds like it is also, it is in pre-production stage. How come they announced the Iron Man game and not the Black Panther game? Do you think the other Black Panther game basically killed EA's chances of making their own Black Panther game? That they just, like, pulled out of the market? Like,
no, I think that based on what you're speculating is that the reason why they're telling you or telling us that this game exists is because they need more staff to do it. Maybe who's ever working on the Black Panther game has enough staff.
Okay, but then why
wouldn't they're confident in the production of it?
Why wouldn't you just announce it now? Or did Marvel just be like...
Because they don't need to add more people to it.
Yeah, but...
Like, you're saying that most of these games we're hearing about multiple years in advance is because they're like, hey, look at what we're doing, come work for us.
That seems to be the case,
if there is a Black Panther game in production, and maybe they're comfortable with the team that's working on it, and they don't need to currently add to that team right now.
Yeah, and then also if there's not enough to show of it, they don't want to be like, we also have...
Or whatever's in it has an impact on Wakanda Forever.
It could maybe tie into that a little bit, but I just wonder if, like, they scrap that. Because
Iron Man's done.
Yeah.
In terms of the MCU cinematic universe,
that we know of. There's always a chance.
Yeah. So, I think that does. Excuse me. That does play into it a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though if EA is just like, oh shit, Marvel's letting another Black Panther game exist and it's already announced. Let's not even try. Let's just work on this Iron Man game. Because especially, I don't trust EA's ability to juggle multiple games at one time anymore. So
well, I feel like that we're having a conversation now, 12 or 18 months later. I don't know if I'm right or wrong on the time frame about what we did similar to Indiana Jones, and we've heard nothing about it other than, hey, it's a thing.
It's a thing, and the studios like released a game since then. But hey, we have it. But that could also just be because it's in the Xbox development hell. That seems to just happen. Yeah. But yeah, I'm wondering if that Black Panther game still exists, or if they're just going to focus on an Iron Man game. Because it sounds like right now, all the studios are basically in a position now where Marvel's like, okay, if you can put a team together and announce it, you can, claim your stake in a piece of the Marvel universe. To where it's like, okay, Skydance got to Black Panther and Captain America first, that's theirs. EA's like, fuck, okay, let's grab Iron Man. And then all the other Marvel games that we're probably going to get announced within the next couple years will start
I guess I just thought about that. I wonder if that's one of the things of where, Marvel's like, okay, you publicly say it's a thing, and that way when it doesn't become a thing, you have to publicly say you had to cancel it.
Yeah, like, we're not going to be the ones to pull the plug. You have to announce to it, you have to commit to it. It's kind of like movie theater, the movie industry. Well, Marvel does this all the time, where they're like, okay, November 5th, April 7th, and then they'll like pick 5-6 dates, and they're like, we're releasing a movie that day. What movie? We don't fucking know. We're releasing a movie that day. Every other studio, get out of the way. That's our day. And then all the other studios do that, where they just pick days, but they don't announce what movie's coming to that day until like a year before. And they're like, okay, yeah. That slot we picked, that's Guardians. That slot we picked, that's Fantastic
It's like
Four.
they all go out to dinner and they draw weeks out of a hat. All right, you get April week 1.
And I'm wondering if that's how like Marvel, Disney are treating the video game industry of like, you know what, this works in the movie industry. Let's just get all the heads of studios in a room together, pick your character. Cool.
Everybody play Fortnite. Whoever wins gets to pick their game.
Yeah. Let's have an all Deadpool Fortnite match, and then the last Deadpool standing gets to make a Deadpool game. Because I know we're not going to see an end to this. We're probably a couple months away from getting another Marvel game announcement. Because it seems like Marvel is just handing out these characters.
Can we get a Marvel game release first?
No, you cannot. You're not allowed to get one.
That's not fair. Spider-Man's been out. Two versions of Spider-Man has been out.
Ultimate Alliance came out like 3 years ago, so stuff is released. Though I gotta beat Ultimate Alliance. It came out on the Switch. It was really cool, but I got halfway through it and I had to stop playing for whatever reason. All right, let's move on to the part of the show where we beg Rockstar and Take-Two do not DMCA this episode. So Rockstar confirmed that the massive... Wait,
I'm sorry, what? Why would we get DMCA?
I don't know. Did you hear the story like a couple weeks ago that like, I think it was, I don't listen to this podcast, but the Colin guy, like he was reading the leaked script of like a Tomb Raider game, and then Square Enix like DMCA'd the podcast to be like, take this podcast down, because he was like...
No, I did not.
Yeah, there was something like that. So, hey Rockstar, we're just talking about the news. You happen to be the subject of the news. But Rockstar basically confirmed that a massive GTA 6 leak was real. So, in case you're living under a rock, or like Dave, probably watching college football and then NFL all of Sunday, there was a massive leak of footage from Grand Theft Auto 6. So we're talking about, I think it was like over 90 clips, equaling about 3 hours, or maybe just an hour. They're really short clips, but there was a ton of them. And this footage is alpha footage, development footage, and just pure gameplay. So much so you can literally see in some of the videos like the developer tweaking, the gameplay and then pulling up code and just working. So all this footage apparently was hacked or downloaded from a Slack server from some Rockstar employees. And the hack also might be attached to the massive Uber one that happened a long time, not too long ago. So super huge, like, breach got us a huge glimpse at the game in development, to where now we know, like, hey, they're doing a male-female protagonist. It is going to be in Vice City. And here are some new gameplay mechanics that are going to be in this game and are expanded on. Rockstar came out and said the footage is real. We are super disappointed that the footage leaked and we weren't able to announce the game on our own terms. and then said that this won't affect the development of the game. There's a little reason why they would say this won't delay the game, and it's because the hacker also said that they have the source code, and they might release the source code, which would completely fuck up that game if people got a hands on the source code, in terms of like once a game is released, they can have a field day with hacking it. Take-Two, Rockstar's parent company, basically have been scrubbing the internet all weekend. They've been doing a pretty good job. There's been YouTube channels or YouTube videos taken down, Twitter videos taken down. Reddit has had like the several threads and channels scrubbed. But it's the internet, so they're not going to be able to get rid of the footage forever. Eventually, they're going to have to give up, especially with the amount of footage that has been leaked. But this is definitely probably the biggest leak in gaming history, because Rockstar is so good at being like a vault of information.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dave, did you come across any of this footage? It was kind of hard not to on Twitter.
I heard about it. I saw like massive discussions and Twitter threads on it. I did not see any of it, partially because I'm not a GTA guy, so like I'm not like intrigued or interested in it. And also like I don't really know how to wrap my head and say this properly, but I'm almost more okay with leaks of games that we know exist. We knew GTA 6 existed, but I guess not of games that have been announced. Mm-hmm. And you know, like, and Rockstar has not had a chance to say GTA 6 is coming, you know, like 2025 or whatever it's going to be. So I genuinely feel bad for a developer like that, you know, for somebody that's, you know, hard work, effort, blood, sweat, tears, like, you know, emotions and art, to roll out of bed on a Sunday and just to see their shit just plastered all over the internet.
Yeah, especially
like,
this could be definitely tied down to specific developers based on the work that's being done in the videos too. Yeah. So I'm sure
like that's terrible for anybody that's, you know, no matter what it is that you're working on. Like, you could be painting your kid's bedroom and not want your kid to see it, and he accidentally opens the door. Like this is kind of what happens. I also feel like this was unfortunate, but it's also going to be an inevitable that with so much remote work going on right now, 10 years ago they wouldn't have kept servers on a Slack file. They wouldn't have kept files on Slack. Everything would have been kept, you know, internally in Rockstar Studio within their intranet, not an internet, but in their intranet where it's closed. Mm-hmm. Like, and so I think that this is kind of one of those things where the art lead is, and again, I'm going to show my age here, but dropping a zip file into Slack to send to the engine guy to make it work, and the art guy lives in New York and the engine guy lives in Seattle. You know,
well, and these videos, because I watched a good like 30 minutes of them, is one of those things where some of these files are literally like, oh, this animation's broken. Let me record a clip of it so I can send to the animation person and be like, hey, yo, this animation's broken. How? Oh, here's a video clip of the animation.
Do you know that his forearm is clipping off into the building, you know, as an example or something like that?
Yeah, and this work is...
that sucks.
Yeah, a lot of... There was like... Some of the clips had like soundtracks, full voice acting. That shows you this game is like pretty well along. Like, the environments looked really detailed, and the only thing that we're missing is, outside of the main protagonists, the NPCs were missing textures, but everything else was almost damn well looked complete. It was alpha footage, you could tell if you really look at it. But
the source code thing isn't. I mean, like the physical, like top to bottom source code, sucks. That's been released. Seeing like developer version of the game of where they pull up, like they put it in dev mode, I don't think is as big of a deal as everybody's making it out to be. You and I see them do it for years. Saw them do it.
Yeah,
all the
that's
time.
Not a big deal because it's not really a secret.
Right. Oh, here you're playing chapter 1. We want you to play chapter 1 and chapter 7. The only way we get you to chapter 7 is that I've literally seen them like take the controller from me and go like full Minecraft create mode and take my character and send them to the sky and boost them. Hell, they've done it remotely. Immortals. When I was playing Immortals, they wanted me to play like an hour and a half of like very beginning of the game, and then they wanted me to get a feel of like what my character looks like souped up. So I literally watched the developer superimpose my character, like go and hit like click on my character, and I don't know if he was hitting the up button or whatever he was hitting, but all of a sudden I went from level 5 to level 55.
It's
like
it's
in 35 seconds.
God mode is basically what it's called.
Yeah,
to where it's like they can just tweak whatever they want. Yeah, that's not that big a deal. But
the whole source code thing, that's crazy, and I'm sure that Rockstar has
the FBI is involved right now.
They're gonna get their hands back on their source code.
And that's why a lot of people are like, oh, why would this hack mess up the development time? It's because the source code could be in the wrong person's hand, and they might have to consider throwing shit out.
I have a feeling in the next 6 months we're gonna see this person arrested.
I believe there's already reports that they've figured out who did it, because the person also may have hacked Uber, and FBI has been looking at that for a while now. It's probably going to be a lot of. This isn't going to be like a slap on the wrist sort of scenario.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the trials that probably gets national news, especially if if he hacked Uber as well.
Yeah,
like this is a pretty big deal, and this guy is that guy that. that they arrest, they put him on trial. While he's on trial, they reach some type of settlement, and he just disappears. And I mean, like, I don't mean he disappears as in like something happens to him. I mean he disappears, and they say, "You work for us now."
It could be one of those things where, like, especially like an Uber company would probably be like, "Oh, we're just gonna eat this person up because hey, they know what they're doing."
Zuckerberg walks in the room with a meta briefcase. You work for me now.
It's one of those things where it's like the FBI is involved because like it sounds too similar, I guess, to the Uber one. I haven't looked too far into the Uber one, but basically now when you look up the news reports on the Rockstar hack, they mentioned the Uber hacking as well, as it could be related.
Yeah. And Angela, my wife, brings up a good point in chat. She's like, this is the kind of stuff that's going to make companies go, no, you need to come to the office.
Yeah, especially a company like this that wants to keep things secretive, which also means they're going to lose some talent, because some talent's going to be like, you know what, another company's willing to let me work from home.
But like you said forever, like they can sit there at their desk and say, we're Rockstar. Mm-hmm. Like, do you want to come here or not? Do you want to work on Grand Theft Auto? Or do you want to work on not Grand Theft Auto?
Do you want to print money? Do you want bonuses? Good luck doing that somewhere else. I mean, the only thing I can think of that would be positive for Rockstar is they're pulling the Band-Aid off now in terms of they're getting feedback from players right now.
Yeah.
Very early in terms of like, oh, that's a cool feature. You guys should expand on that, because they showed like, holdups seem very complex compared to what they are in previous games. So that is something now that they can see in feedback and like, people really like this mechanic. Let's focus on this.
Which of our 90 clips is the highest viewed clip? Let's expand on that.
Yeah, and then also because it's fucking 2022 and people are still stupid. There's been a lot of people upset that it's a female protagonist this time. You know what? They got to pull the Band-Aid off on that. So now when the trailer comes out for the game that fully introduces the character, people aren't going to be as upset as they are today, because they're going to already know, like, oh, there's a female protagonist. There's nothing we could do about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like, okay, it's Vice City. There's a female protagonist. Like, you're getting some of the speculation stuff out of the way, and then they can be like, okay, so now we don't have to spend time focusing on that, because like years ago when GTA 5 came out, like back in the day when IGN was still doing like rewind trailers or whatever, that's how long it's been, like where they're like, what does this billboard mean, and like what city is like like all the speculation and the guessing and pausing trailers like we do now, like kind of normal thing. Some of that crap's just gone out of the way now, so they can be like, all right, so here's what's cool in GTA 6 versus, okay, you're returning here and this is who your characters are.
And the idiots that are going to be mad over stupid shit are going to be bored and tired of that shit to be angry about by the time the trailer and the game comes out, because whatever.
You hope.
Yeah, you hope. They're still going to be angry about stupid shit, but at least now they know what's coming ahead and that they need to get used to it, because it's not going to change now. So Rockstar is at least getting feedback from that perspective of like, okay, now we know what people like, and the stuff that people shouldn't be annoyed by, that they're annoyed by right now, they're going to forget about it in like 3 months when we actually show them like the game. This probably will like speed them up though in producing an announcement or a trailer for this game. They probably, if they haven't already started the work on that first reveal trailer, they're starting on that trailer like ASAP because everyone's talking about GTA 6 right now, and the only footage they have to go by is this alpha footage. So Rockstar needs to put a trailer out so they can be like, hey guys, we didn't get the reveal Vice City the way we wanted to, but here's Vice City. Also, the two characters that, you saw interact around the world, you know their name kind of, but do you know what they're about? Here's a trailer to show you why you should care about these characters. Like, they are probably working on that trailer now. Jeff Keighley probably made a phone call that morning being like, can you have something ready by the Game Awards? Like,
right.
Just to take advantage of all the attention. Because if you're Rockstar, you're going to take this person to court. You're going to find them, you're going to take them to court, but you don't want that to be the thing that people are talking about your video game.
Right.
So they have to be putting together like their big reveal to happen like relatively soon. But that's all I got for the news, unless you have anything else about the great Rockstar hack of 2022.
No, not that I can think of, other than it just sucks that their work got leaked like that. That's just, that's just really sucky for any of those hardworking people. So, all right. So, like, what's delayed? I'm not aware of anything that's significantly that's been delayed. As we're getting into mid-September now. October is going to start hitting and we're kind of at the point where it's either coming this year or it's not. So, you're sort of at the point of no return. So, what we're playing and watching. So, I have not been playing a ton of stuff. I've been messing around with Destiny with my group for a little bit, just doing some of that stuff. I have been watching, as Michael alluded to, a lot of college football. I don't know if I mentioned it last week. I did go to the Michigan game against Hawaii with a friend of mine that was in town from Canada. I can't remember if I said that or not. And then watched just a ton of football. My fantasy team's doing great right now, so it's been kind of nice just to kick back and watch football. We did pick up NFL Sunday Ticket, partially because Jonathan, my oldest, is in Kentucky and he cannot watch the Lions in Kentucky. So, and it's only like $30 a month. The ironic part about it is that I put it under my name and my email address, but I wrote my daughter's university and I got the student price.
Hack the system.
So apparently I was like,
Roger Goodell's coming after you now. Angela, edit this
out. So he's been able to watch the Lions game. It sucks you can only watch it on one device at a time. So when he's watching the Lions game, I can't watch it, which is fine because I can watch all the Lions games locally at home. I did get my first taste of NFL Red Zone in Sunday afternoon, and because I did not want to watch the Bengals Cowboys, and that's kind of super entertaining and addictive to watch when they're really only showing the interesting part of 6 or 7 football games.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of cool to watch. So that's definitely a positive. I did end up watching all of Cobra Kai season 5. And the ability for that show to take the smallest nuggets from Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3 and expand upon them enough to hold characters and to keep attention, the writing is just phenomenal. The balance between hitting any Karate Kid nostalgia that you want as a fan of those movies or and entertainment, but at the same time to hold the teenage soap opera-ness of ridiculousness that's going on along with karate, they've just hit it out of the park, and they've set a standard for taking any critically acclaimed movie or popular movie from any time frame and really set the bar very high. You haven't really watched any Cobra Kai, right?
Nah, I'm just not really into Karate Kid. I was a Three Ninjas kid, not a Karate Kid.
Okay, yeah. So if they were able to take as an example, take Three Ninjas as adults and manage their life with kids and the crap that they went through while still tying those characters that they ran into in the original movie into a show every week. Would you watch that?
Maybe I need a better example than Three Ninjas because I don't know if that would work. But yeah, no, I see what you mean. Like if I like the source material and they like had it grow up with you basically, that would be something that would be like interesting, because it's nice when you get to like revisit characters, but they're not trying to be like they're the same age or let's reboot them with different characters. It's just like, no, here's the characters you loved back then, and now they're at a different age and different time in their life. And also here's some new characters because we need new characters, but you're watching it, for seeing the cameos and whatnot.
Yeah, so I just like in terms of especially like with the pandemic and in like the world that we live in right now, the fact that they've been able to consistently get out, 10 or 11 episodes, 5 seasons in a row now, every year, like, and Netflix hasn't canceled them.
Not yet. It must be really cheap to make.
It doesn't look like it's that cheap to make though. Some of the stuff that they've been going, but I guess when you're, I don't know what he's the Raphael Machadi, or I'm sure I'm butchering his name, but the guy that played Danny LaRusso, he's like the executive producer of it. So I'm sure he still gets royalties from the Karate Kid movies in general.
Yeah,
so I'm sure he's doing okay.
Yeah, but there's no CGI dragons, so it's probably pretty cheap to make. So.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So like I said, it's been a little bit of Cobra Kai, or a lot of Cobra Kai, a lot of football, and then sprinkling in some Destiny in there. I just, again, like I mentioned last week, there's a bunch of stuff going on with work. I'm just at the point where, and I know I'm sure like people like I get annoyed when I say this, like I don't have a tangible desire to start something new right now. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Horizon or anything that's on my list. I'm kind of just in this thing, like, I wouldn't even necessarily say it's a funk, but I'm enjoying the time of the group of 6 to 10 guys that I play Destiny with, a couple nights a week. And I know as soon as I pick up something like Horizon and try to start focusing on it and playing it, like, I'll be fine. It's just one of those things of getting over that hurdle and starting it. Mm-hmm. It's just, there's a lot going on at home right now. So, what about you?
So for me, hey buddy, sorry, my cat's coming over. I've been playing, of course, sorry guys, Rumbleverse is still what I've been playing consistently. I'm getting better. I'm getting at least like a win like every other night, a win or two. So I'm still like really addicted to that fucking game. Like it's become like my relaxation game. But in terms of new games, I did jump into the Modern Warfare 2 beta. Because like I guess if you have Comcast, you got access to the beta, like it like tied to your account. So my PSN account is tied to my Xfinity account or some shit. I forget how exactly it worked.
Creepy.
Yeah. But I did get access to the Modern Warfare 2 beta. It is Call of Duty. I know that's
shocking.
Yeah. I don't like
I've heard a lot of positivity around.
Oh yeah, it's a solid Call of Duty. There's only a handful of maps and a handful of modes in the beta, but it definitely seems significantly better than the previous Call of Duty, which was set in World War II. Is it going to be on par with Modern Warfare? Kind of hard to tell right now in the beta, but it definitely seems like it is an extension of that. Obviously, it's a sequel; it's going to be an extension, but it does.
We've had Cold War and Vanguard since Modern Warfare.
That sounds about right. Okay. Was it Vanguard, Cold War, then Modern Warfare? Fuck it. It's been 1 or 2 games since Modern Warfare. No, because we reviewed Modern Warfare on this podcast, and then we reviewed another Call of Duty after that. We're in our 3rd year, so 3 Call of Duties. I think that's how that would work. So it definitely feels like a extension of the first game. So what I mean by that is there doesn't appear to be a drop in quality from Modern Warfare 1 to Modern Warfare 2. So that's been pretty nice. Still plays really smooth. It's nice. I was just talking about Sarah. I haven't had someone send like a really shitty message to me from a multiplayer match in a long time. And the like proximity chat in Modern Warfare kind of brings that back, because there's nothing like being called horrible shit after you kill someone in the game. So that made me feel good. Just being called horrible things. And then just listening to people's shitty music over the mic, because the beta is only for PS5 right now, which means no one has muted their fucking controller mic. So every single person has their mic on, except me, because I know you can just mute that from a system level by default. So hearing everyone being yelled at by their parents or having horrible music in the background, it's been really nice. It's been fun to play that. But my main thing this past weekend, I went to Riot Fest in Chicago. Went Friday for My Chemical Romance. Didn't die. Almost felt like I was gonna die though. Holy shit, that was an experience. So My Chemical Romance, this is their reunion tour. First time in 10 years they were playing, and the fan base was rabid. Me and Sarah, she specifically wanted to go into the pit.
Oh, jeez.
Because it's her favorite band, so I was like, cool, let's go into that. I think the count after the concert, so it got really bad to where the lead singer had a constant say after every song, like, everyone chill out, back up after every song. Like, it almost felt bad for the lead singer because Riot Fest security was doing nothing. It took the band to, like, try and bring order to the thing. To where I believe there was, like, a dozen people that passed out or got, like, kind of trampled. And then there was, like, reports of, like, someone having a seizure, someone breaking their leg, someone breaking an arm. Person next to us had a crowd surfer kick them in the face and, like, rip the piercing from her nose. It was pretty damn intense and wild. I'm glad I played football for 2 years because I got to use all my offensive linemen tips and tricks to, like, hold place for me and Sarah. Especially there's a couple times where the crowd just turned into a whole wave or flood to where there's a couple times me and Sarah both were not on our feet because the crowd just pushed so rapidly.
That's scary.
It's scary, but damn was it worth it and fun. And I say that as someone who didn't break a leg, break a rib, or passed out. So we did that Friday. We had 3A passes, but we were so tired after that MyChem set that we didn't go Saturday. We had a rehab. And then we ended up going Sunday. It seemed like Sunday had a more experienced crowd that knew concert etiquette compared to the Friday. So Sunday was a lot more relaxed. We got to see, like, Nine Inch Nails, Jimmy Eat World. So it was a pretty chill Sunday compared to what our Friday was. So if you're wondering why I sound kind of funny right now, it's because I feel sick. It's not COVID or anything like that. It's just like I was around 50,000 people, so I kind of got the cold right now, which is why I'm talking just a little bit funny. And I'm having to, like, take some deep breaths every once in a while.
Yeah.
So
allergies right now kicking my ass too.
Yeah, like right now I'm just my body's doing pretty damn good at fighting whatever kind of cold I have right now. But, like, it's that annoying part where it's like I'm not fully sick, but I'm not fully healthy. So I'm, like, in a weird limbo right now. But yeah, Riot Fest was fucking fun. My Chemical Romance is, like, one of both me and Sarah's, like, favorite band. So seeing them live was amazing. Being part of that, like, that pit, while scary as hell, was just kind of fun to see, like, people just acting crazy. And knowing that, like, I can hold my ground. These Hot Topic managers can't hold their ground, but I can hold my ground. So that was entertaining because I had a couple people that were, like, trying to push forward, and I just had to, like, turn my head and being like, "Nah, you can keep pushing, but I'm not moving." Like, yeah, you clearly cannot push me harder than you already are. So have fun trying to get past me. So did that a couple times, just because it was a wild experience, seeing people push in when there's nowhere else to push. Right. So yeah, got to experience that, and then I got to see, like, I'm not a big Nine Inch Nails fan, but holy shit, they put on, like, a hell of a light show. Their audio was better than any band of the festival, but it was is a really good like set to see, even if I'm not a big Nine Inch Nails fan. And then it was also like Coolio and Ice Cube were there doing stuff. So there's like a nice like mix of stuff. Come on, buddy. Here's my cat. All right. Okay. But yeah, that is it for me. Just Rumbleverse, Modern Warfare, and crowd control management in Riot Fest.
I have a statement and a question. It's like I forgot to say. My wife reminded me. So her and I started watching the Harry Potter movies. I think we're through like 3 of them. Mm-hmm. Not terrible, but not riveting enough to like just to draw my attention that I want to watch the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. It is kind of interesting to see the characters grow up. Like as fast as I'm watching it, compared to like watching it, you know, when one came out in whatever 2010 and then 2014 and then 2000, but to watch the progression like that. So I hear it gets a little darker as we're going, and I hope the story gets a little bit more impactful. Right now, it just feels like we're keeping away from the guy that we won't talk about. You know, like that's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, the first couple movies are very much kid movies to where I don't know if you notice this now that you're past the 3rd movie. This probably won't...
I don't think we've started the 4th one.
Yeah. But I'm just talking about the formatting. The first 2 movies are terrible in terms of... Because they're a kid's movie, they had a rule. Every scene needs to have one joke to keep things light. And they get better with that because the movies mature with the audience. Because we're talking about 8 movies.
Yeah.
But the first 2 movies are really hard to get through because it's just like... Your parents are dead. Ron cracks a joke. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're talking about, like, dead parents, but then you're going to crack, like, a weird joke at the end of it.
Yeah.
Because they just weren't allowed to get too heavy. But by the time you get to, like, the 4th or 5th movie, they get heavier, and it's appreciated. But I will say, even though there's 8 movies, they definitely feel rushed. Those, like, last 3 movies, which is a damn shame, because it's like, how do you feel rushed and you did 8 movies? But if you're kind of enjoying them now, you'll enjoy the later ones just because they do get darker, get a little more serious.
Awesome. And then I have a question for you. So what is your feelings on, and I don't know if this was public knowledge or not, I saw it last week and I meant to send it to you, but so there's like Activision Blizzard is essentially shutting down Overwatch 1 and turning it into Overwatch 2. Like Overwatch 1 will not exist after like October 4th or something.
Yeah, because they're going free to play with Overwatch 2. I mean, it just makes sense to do that at this point based on what they want to do with Overwatch as a franchise. So I'm not like devastated by that news. It sucks that like basically your Overwatch 1 disc or whatever is just a glorified paperweight. It was always a glorified paperweight, but this very much makes it that. And it sucks you...
Well, like the first comment I saw was like people like, oh, of course, I paid $60 and now it's just worthless. Like you got $60 content out of that game. So.
It just sucks from like a historical perspective that like you will never be able to play vanilla Overwatch 1 because it will no longer exist. But based on what they want to do, and based on their fucking crazy idea of like Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2 will be compatible with each other, and Overwatch 1 players will be able to play with Overwatch 2 players, is like, that's a stupid fucking idea. And their fix for that is, okay, we will burn Overwatch 1 to the ground. And it's just like, you know what? I'd rather they do that than try to do like this weird cross-platform.
Are you gonna play it?
It's free to play. And I think there's an incentive for Game Pass, so I will play it. Because that is something me and Sarah were talking about. Of like, I haven't got a hate message for a while. I haven't gotten one since like Overwatch 1. Because there's something satisfying about beating the shit out of someone in a multiplayer match and then have one of them message you that you suck. I miss that. So yeah, I will play Overwatch 2.
Can they grab the appeal again that Overwatch got?
No.
Originally.
No, I don't think they will ever catch that. I don't think that they're going to fail. I think Overwatch will.
Right.
But
it's not going to be like it's not going to be talked about in the Game of the Year contention like it was.
Yeah, it won Game of the Year, right? Yeah, I don't think it will achieve that, especially because it's like I hate their battle pass system, where it's like, hey, you'll have all the Overwatch 1 characters day 1, and then you have to unlock the new characters through the battle pass. Like, the free lane of the battle pass will have the new characters. I think that's a stupid fucking way to do that, don't call this Overwatch 2. Just call it Overwatch. It's kind of like
Right.
how I think Destiny 2 shouldn't be the name anymore.
Right. I'm at the point too. It should just be Destiny.
Yes, it should just be Destiny, especially as they like bring in some of the old content, like they did a couple times. Just name it Destiny.
Like anything that I desperately wanted from Destiny 1 is already in Destiny 2 now.
Yeah.
So.
But it also puts them in a spot of like, are you really going to do it Destiny 3 or you're just going to make this Destiny? And Overwatch should just change the name from Overwatch 2 to just Overwatch. Or if you need to print new t-shirts, the Overwatch or something, just change the name. Because a number makes no sense if it's going to become a platform.
Right. All right. No, I was just curious about that. I saw that come up, and I forgot to ask you about that earlier. So, so now we're going to move on to questions and comments from our community. Both of these are from our European listeners. So, Robert Cartwright, controller rage. Do you or have you had it? And if so, which game has cost you the most in replacements? Battlefield 3 and 4 caused the most, quote, slips for me. I can't afford PS5 controllers, so I just huff and puff a lot now. Go ahead.
I treat my controllers with respect and dignity. So I've never raged on a controller enough to break it.
Not even teenage MJC?
No, I was poor, so I respected every electronic that I had because it was the only one I was going to have. The closest I can think of is when I got into like there was an overlap of I think it was like a little bit in the pandemic of like I was playing Overwatch and Warzone and Modern Warfare around the same time, and it kind of beat up my analog sticks a little bit with the drift. So I ended up like going like 4 years without having any drift on my controllers to like having two controllers drift back to back. But I never have raged.
That's a lot of R3 pushing down for sprinting.
Basically, yeah. I mean, and I'm not fully like careful with my controllers. I have this weird tick where when I get killed, sometimes I will flip the controller in my hand and catch it like back in place. And I've totally dropped my controller like once or twice doing that, but not enough to break it. But there's been some panics where I like do my little flip and it hits the ground and I'm like, fuck. But usually when I do that flip, it lands like on the handles. As of now. Of course I say that now and I'll probably break a DualSense soon.
Yeah, I do get frustrated. I don't think I've ever broken a controller. But I do like similar to what you do, but I toss my controller in the air and I typically catch it. Like I just get like I'm like and then I typically catch it. It's usually when I get frustrated. I even think some people probably see me do it on stream when I get frustrated with like Ori and the Blind Forest as like a repetitive level, or Guacamelee is a repetitive thing of what when I was playing Nobody Saves the World, when you're consistently doing the same thing like over and over and over and over and over and just not getting through something. That's where I tend to get frustrated. But I don't think that it's probably, maybe I might have broke a controller as like a preteen or a teenager. And, you know, some of those Super Nintendo controllers probably weren't that sturdy back then anyways. So I feel like controllers are a little bit more sturdy now than they were then. Maybe. The plastic seems better, but the buttons aren't as good, maybe.
I feel like the older controllers, like we're talking about like PS2, PS1, those would always get the mystery, like, rattle over time where you just like shake and you're like, there's plastic loose in this, I don't know why. And I don't really...
But everything works.
Yeah, but I don't really see that issue with like DualSense and DualShock controllers.
Yeah.
And my Xbox controller, it's honestly never... I don't understand how my Xbox controller doesn't have drift. I feel like it should.
The only thing that irritates me about the Xbox controllers is the batteries.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Other than that, like, they're solid controllers.
Yeah,
like,
I've had a DualSense drift on me. I've had a Joy-Cons drift on me. But my Xbox controller... hasn't really.
To be fair, I haven't punished an Xbox controller like I have a PlayStation controller yet, though.
I have, and I haven't had issues other than batteries kind of suck. But yeah. I don't. At the point, I almost prefer the AA batteries over the rechargeable ones because I have to recharge my DualSense controllers like every day. It's annoying. I
tend to find myself like playing with the same. Thankfully, the same thing that charges my phone charges my controller now. So it's like I switch from the phone to controller.
I probably like fucked my controllers up. My DualSense controllers, they get charged off the Switch dock because that's like front facing. So I just always have like chargers plugged into the Switch. dock for whatever reason, because I have a keyboard plugged into the PS5, and all my USB-C chargers are USB-A on the other end, so I have to use my Switch dock to charge my controllers, and that means it doesn't know when to tell the controller, please stop charging. It's just a continuous charge.
And then Stefan Wren writes, have you ever played the same video game all night, going to sleep at 8 a.m. while everyone else is just getting up? Yes. I have played. The most recent one that comes to memory is, I believe, back in the PS Nation days, I think I played Destiny 2 at launch for like 26 or 28 hours straight on stream.
Yeah. You had to get a diaper and just you sat on that couch.
Like, where like my PR person like texted me like, have you eaten? Like, he was like, because he's like, you were playing when I went to sleep last night and you're still playing now. Like, and so he was, so I've done that, and I've also done Extra Life, where I haven't played the same game for 24 hours straight, but I don't know, I bet you I could find it in Destiny's API or on Destiny's heat map, but I'm sure I could see like a play session that was an embarrassingly long amount of time.
Mm-hmm. And you also did The Last of Us, right, originally? Like, that was like a...
that was like an all-night thing. Like, I think Angela and I, like, I started playing at like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, thinking that we were just going to play for 2 or 3 hours and progress in the story, and she saw where I was in percentage-wise when you save on the PS3, and she's like, oh, you're like 84%, just finish the game. That was another like 6 hours. So yes, I've done that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. Like, if we don't count multiplayer games, because I've done that for like Killzone and Uncharted 2, like, countless times.
Right.
Because that was like back in like high school days or like early college days. I definitely, I always talk about it. Me and Sarah played A Plague Tale. I think we started it at like maybe like 11 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. And we played it up until like 2 a.m. So it was like a 12 to 13 hour straight session. I don't even remember if we like ate food during that. We just got so into the game. Yeah. But in terms of like staying up all night and then having people in the house like waking up, Metal Gear Solid 4, that was one I got in trouble for because my 2 little sisters were watching me play that, and I think they were like 12 and 8, something like that, and they really liked the cutscenes, and they probably shouldn't have been playing or watching me play Metal Gear Solid 4, but that was notorious for having like 45-minute cutscenes. So we started to play it at like 10 o'clock at night, and then we ended up like, I think up until like 10 o'clock the next morning, because we just got like so caught up in the story. And when you get towards the...
What happens next? What now? Now what? Now what?
Yeah, and then like once you're in a cutscene, you're like, this cutscene could be 2 minutes, it could be 45 minutes. So we're just going to keep running with it. So there was definitely a time where I got in trouble because I kept my 2 sisters up until like 10 in the morning playing an M-rated game they shouldn't have been watching. So yeah, Metal Gear Solid would probably be the one that I like remember staying up. That's a single player game, that's not, or a story based game. Because there's also times where like me and my friends would play like Dead Island, like co-op. Back in the days where we had to use Skype on our laptops for cross game chat because the PS3 voice chat just sucked. So we had to like keep our laptops plugged into a headset or whatever just so we can have voice chat. We definitely did some 7, 8 a.m. sort of things or marathons for like multiplayer co-op games.
Awesome. All right. I don't know, like, do you like Chad Warden? You know him?
Yeah,
is that one of your buddies?
Yeah. That is someone who, though I don't think we got to finish Dead Island with Chad Warden because his save broke.
I've been up. Yeah, I mean, again, like Destiny related wise, like I've been up long times with like Johnny as a boy, playing through some stuff, getting through some content.
Yeah, Killzone with Johnny and Bleak. Holy shit! And Patriot B-Ball.
I've done some stuff with Bleak too. Destiny with Bleak, and Killzone. Shadowfall, the co-op mode. I can't think of what it's called right now.
I forget.
Insurgents or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah,
I'm not playing Dead Island.
I've had. All right. So that is our show for this week. You can follow us on Twitter at Digital Days Pod. You can follow Michael at The First MJC. You can follow myself at Good Dave Hunt. The Facebook group and Discord server are linked in the show notes. Please feel free to join those. Patreon is there as well. So patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming, where you can check out the different tiers that we have and the rewards that you get for supporting us that way. There is a Teesprings account as well if you want to start, maybe getting some hoodies or, we can need to give that store a refresh too and see if there's maybe, I don't know, some people might want a coffee mug or something. I have no idea, but see what else is available on there that we can do. I probably need a new shirt from there too eventually. But other than that, that's all I have. Michael, you got anything else?
No, I do not.
All right. I hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward. Talk to you later.
Don't be a dick. Also, Curry Master, Judgment is on PC now. Not gonna play it. Okay, bye.